Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of The Nest, where we discuss everything babies. I am your host, Gladwell Kameni. On today's episode, we are discussing breastfeeding challenges. For most mothers, you do not expect a lot of challenges, especially when it's the first time. Other times, even second-borns, third-borns, and other children coming after may come with their own challenges and complexities. Every mother will tell you that breastfeeding can be an interesting art and science. Well, today we are joined by moms who will be sharing with us their journeys on breastfeeding. At this point, I'd like to welcome you both, and I'd like to request you, Valerie, to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Valerie, mother to a 20-month-old son.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, to you, Brenda.
My name's Brenda Okumu, and a mother of a 3-year, 9-month-old baby.
Boy, girl?
Boy.
Okay, congratulations. Well, I'll just start with you, Brenda. How was your experience? Let me first probably ask you, what did you expect when you were told, oh, you'll be breastfeeding soon? What was running through your mind?
I thought it was just an easy thing, that I'll just hold the baby, put him on the breast, and he starts breastfeeding.
You go with the flow.
Yes. Yeah.
And the reality?
The reality, a bit of training with the nurse at the hospital, but it was close to my expectation. That's what happened.
Oh, good. What about you, Valerie? What did you expect?
Well, I expected everything to just go according to book. Everything I've been hearing about giving birth and breastfeeding the baby, but it was nothing close to that.
Okay, I think I'm very curious to hearing what is on the book and what is nothing close to that. So for the moms at home, please don't go away. You'll want to hear these amazing stories. And please remember to send in your questions. Also remember, we'll be expecting your funny baby videos and funny photos that you'll be sharing with us. We will be sure to just celebrate you, moms. Welcome back. On today's episode, we're discussing breastfeeding challenges. Please remember, I already told you before the break, send in your funny baby photos and funny baby videos on our Facebook page and also on the number appearing on your screen. Immediately we'll delve into the stories of these amazing moms, and please join us in just enjoying and laughing over our expectations versus the reality. So I'll just start with you, Brenda. You said that for you it was almost similar to what you expected. How was your very first experience? The baby was brought.
Yes, the baby was brought, and the milk was not there. So the nurse was with me all through, trying to just let him suckle nothing until when it comes out. Yeah.
So
the
latching, you had no issue. The baby knew exactly where to land on when you were holding
the nurse
him.
did it.
The nurse did it.
Yeah.
That was a very helpful nurse.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What about for you, Valerie? Let's hear about your first experience.
Well, after the baby came, it was horror. Well, I put the baby there. The baby was crying. I'm trying to get him to latch, and at first I didn't even know what latching was. So the nurse is coming and saying, latch the baby. I'm like, okay, what's that? So at the end of the day, I came to figure out that it's breastfeeding and making sure the baby is properly feeding on the areola, which mine was not. He was using my nipple as a straw. and the first 3 days I didn't have milk. So it was really a challenge, because every time they would tell me, just keep putting the baby there so that it stimulates the milk, but nothing used to come. And I was really stressed out, and they're telling me, oh, relax, you'll be fine. But there's no relaxing at that point, because the baby is hungry, and all the time they're giving formula. Then the nurse comes and says, you can't keep giving formula all the time, you need milk. And I'm like, from where? The supermarket? It was really
frustrating.
It was really frustrating. It was stressful. I would cry at some point. I would cry with the baby. We cried together. So on the third day, I think the fourth day, they had to give me medicine to stimulate the milk production. And then after that, we were released to go home. That's where the nightmare started. So my baby never latched.
Okay, maybe I just want to go back. You had a CS, I assume.
Yes.
That's why you had the happiness of 3 or 4 days in the hospital.
Yes.
So during the breaks, they were giving your baby infant formula.
Yes.
Okay.
They were giving him formula for those 3 days I was in hospital. Then once I got home, the milk started coming, but still breastfeeding was a challenge. It was so painful at some point, because he was feeding around the nipple, not with the areola, and it really cut. It cut really bad. So anytime he would breastfeed, I would dread anytime he would wake up to breastfeed, because it was never a good experience.
Okay, so what do you mean? Where are the cuts? Because I know for many of us, we are extremely ignorant. You're talking about the areola and the nipple, and would you probably describe, because you seem to be a bit more aware on...
The cut was on the nipple itself.
On the nipple?
Yeah, on the nipple, because that's where he was latching. So he would even bite on it at some point. So there are times I would bleed, like he's breastfeeding and I'm bleeding. So it was really bad, because I am engorged. I have so much milk, but I don't know what to do about it. So anytime he would even cry, I never even wanted to go pick him up, because the experience was painful. It was traumatizing. I was, neglecting the baby, because I was even thinking he's doing it intentionally, biting me intentionally, or he hates me or something. So it was really bad. Yeah.
That could have easily even pushed you to postpartum depression.
It did.
Oh,
yes.
It did.
It did.
Oh, goodness.
It did, because at some point, I honestly neglected the child for like 2 days. I wasn't changing his diaper. I was just giving him formula. My nipples were painful, so I was wondering if I was really fit to be a mother, or this is just punishment from God. You'd ask yourself so many questions as a mother, because you think it's easy. Once you give birth, the baby knows you, breastfeeds and everything. But for me, the bond wasn't there for the first month.
Wow, a month is a very long time.
It is.
And let me ask you, when you're saying that you had a lot of milk, and the milk, and the baby is not being able to latch, or rather there's so much pain, did anybody, or did you seek anyone's advice on how to probably get rid of the milk?
Yes, I did. Actually, I met Esther in a very funny way. I would ask mothers who had babies before how their experience was. All of them were, hunky-dory. My baby, last.
You mean Esther the doula?
Yes, Esther the doula.
Okay.
So guys, the mothers would tell me how fun it was breastfeeding. So for me, it's, I sank into depression more and more, because for me, I was feeling like I'm not doing the right thing. And at this time, my wound is still fresh. I'm in pain, really stressed out. So I googled. I was like, doulas in Kenya, and Esther's name came up, and I called her, and I was crying. I was in pain. She actually asked me where I was, and she came all the way to the house.
Wow.
And she looked at my nipples. They were a mess. And she told me, first of all, you're engorged, you're stressed out, you need to relax. So it was a process.
So sorry to take you back. At what point did you realize you need to ask help from someone?
There's a lady I talked to who had very good experiences with doulas.
Okay.
So she asked me to look for a doula, and I was like, doulas are expensive. I can't afford that right now. I'm already stressed out trying to figure out how to breastfeed this child. So I just Googled. I was on my phone. The baby was crying. So when I called her, I think the first thing I said was, I need help. And it's like she could really understand my frustration. So she came that very day, because I think I called her in the like at noon. She was home by 2 o'clock. And she walked me through the whole process. She even taught me what latching was, how to do it properly, how to, express manually because my nipples were really inverted. So even breastfeeding, latching the baby was
nipple inversion. What?
Like flat nipples, kabisa. So anytime you try to put the baby on the boob, it was really hard. So she taught me how to express, because most of the times when you have inverted nipples, your breast could be so engorged that it's just flat, there's no release. So when she taught me how to even latch with the manual breast pump and release a bit of pressure, it sharpened the nipple a bit. And she taught me how to latch the baby. Since I had a cesarean, it was tough for me to do the cradle hold. So I did the football hold, which was really
it's interesting. It's interesting how the nurses let you go home with the inverted nipple. Did you know you had an inverted nipple?
No, at that point I didn't even know what it was.
Okay.
I didn't know what it was. It's the doula who actually looked at my nipples and said, your nipples are really inverted.
And that was after how long, from the birth of the baby to the time that you got to see the doula?
That was about 4 weeks.
4 weeks?
Yes, I was getting into my 4th week.
So the cracking and the tearing of the nipples was of what duration of time?
Around 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yes.
From the time the milk came and the baby. Okay. Okay, that must have been very difficult.
It was really painful.
Wow. Gosh, Brenda, can you get a happier story? You said yours was closer to the book. Will you probably share how was it?
How it was? First of all, I also had a CS.
You also had a CS?
Yes.
All
at
right.
8 months, I had just gone to my gyna for the normal routine clinic.
Yes.
Then he was like, wait a minute. This heartbeat is not normal. And I think I was at 35 weeks or something.
Wow.
Yeah, so he said, the heartbeat is not normal. I need to observe you for a while because I don't have the machine that observes continuously. So I was there for like 45 minutes to 1 hour, and he said, I'm sorry, I don't want to make you start getting anxious or something, but I would rather send you to a big hospital for us to be sure, because it's fluctuating. It's either going high or very low. So there's just an issue. And he referred me to any hospital of my choice, either Coptic, because we were along Ngong Road, either Coptic or Nairobi Hospital. And he told me they can even do it for free. It's nothing much. It's just like taking your pressure and all that. So I chose Coptic because that was my hospital of birth. So when I arrived there, I was put on that machine. So it has a screen. So I would even see it myself.
Oh dear.
And then the nurse like went to a corner somewhere and tried to give feedback, because the doctor had told the nurse to give him feedback. I had a note.
So she's in a corner in your room. She's basically observing the readings.
Yeah, I was in the I think the labor room or something. So she went to a corner to give feedback. And then what she told the doctor was, this baby is going to let us down. I wish you see the heartbeat. And then the doctor was like, take a photo of there was also a printout from that machine. You would see the screen and also a printout. Take a photo of the printout and WhatsApp me immediately. So the nurse did exactly that. But me, when I heard this baby is going to let us down, I started crying. Yeah,
I know.
So the doctor called me after he received the WhatsApp, message. He told me, Brenda, I know you had chosen to give birth normally, but with that kind of heartbeat, I'm sorry, that baby can only be in your womb for the next 2 hours, not more. So you're not even going anywhere.
Stay put.
Stay put. I am getting the other people on board. Now the pediatrician and the, I don't know, pediatrician and anesthetist and all that. I'll be on my way. And stay calm.
Okay. Let's fast forward. That's an intriguing story. You should want to hear. Would all want to hear more, but we need to go to the breastfeeding.
To the breastfeeding. Yeah. So that affected. I was bringing it up so that, you know, it affected now the stimulation of milk, because now the milk could not just come out.
Okay. Yeah. Because the baby came earlier.
Early. At about 8 months. Yeah.
That's
but
very.
So the whole night.
Early,
yes. So by the time they were operating on me, it was going to night. It was about in the evening, late evening. So he stayed the whole night on the breast, but there was nothing. But until morning. So morning, it started pouring. Both sides. Both sides. So I would be breastfeeding on one side, and the other side is actually just pouring. And it went on and on like that. Yeah.
So for you, it's
because I didn't even use any of these pumps or anything. I'll just hold a bottle on the other side.
What?
Yeah.
Oh. It was that much.
Yeah.
I wish this milk was sellable for sure. I mean, sometimes.
And before that, I used to put a face towel. I actually went and I sent a friend to get me a set to be putting on the other breast, because it would. She even came to hospital and she saw it herself. So she went for a set of face towels to be putting on the other breast. Yeah, but. As people came in to visit, one mama gave me an idea, and she told me, why are you wasting the milk? Putting it, you should put it on a bottle and then
you store it for later use.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yours is a happy story. I think at this point it would be good for us to have the expert to probably help moms who may have gone through a bad experience like this of Valerie. And I like that your story is positive, because then it gives the other moms who haven't had their babies encouragement that this thing, actually, the milk does still come, and it comes in abundance and things flow well. So latching was not an issue. You had no other issue after that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very good. Okay, so to our viewer at home, we are going to be joined by the expert shortly. Remember, we are still looking forward to see your comments and questions on our Facebook page, and also on the number appearing on your screen. Remember, we are still calling out to you to send us your funny baby videos and photos, and we'll be celebrating you moms back home. Don't go away, we'll be right back after the break. You're welcome back to The Nest, and today we are discussing breastfeeding challenges. We're joined by a little handsome boy here called Michael, together with our expert doula. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Esther Kemani. I am a doula and childcare expert, and excited to be here as always.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, I think the last question that I'd like to probably stage to you before we bring in Esther is, are there remedies that you tried at home to ease the pain that was caused by the cracking of the nipples?
Honestly, because I was new, I had no one around me to really help. So the only remedy was just crying and just, applying Vaseline on the nipple in the morning, thinking it's getting better, but it was worse. People would tell me to rub, the milk around the nipple. It helps with healing.
Yes.
It did, but the moment the baby would latch wrongly, it would get worse. And it was such a stinging pain, like you'd feel it all the way to your toes. You'd even have a headache. So most of the time I would even take painkillers for the pain to go away, but it really didn't help much.
The Vaseline?
The Vaseline, no.
Okay.
It didn't help.
Okay. Does the Vaseline work?
Yeah.
It sounds such a natural kind of remedy.
Yeah. what works is actually getting the latch right.
Okay.
So that you can allow the nipple to heal, and so that there's good circulation. Milk does work, expressing, because your milk has a lot of antibodies at that point. It's rich because it's trying to protect your body, the baby. So it does the same to the breast. And then if you must use anything around there, it has to be hospital grade lanolin, because I see people using the lanolin for nails. Not that one.
The beauty
it has
one.
to be, yes, it has to be the hospital grade lanolin for when the nipples are very cracked. Yes.
Okay, maybe we can start with the latch, and therefore I lend you Michael.
Yeah. Just holding for a minute. So
Alright.
I'd like to explain what, and like she was told, latching and areola, and she didn't know even what's all this language we're talking about. So these are samples of like a breast. So this is almost like what you call a perfect breast. We have the nipple, which is the protruding place. We have the areola, which is the dark part, and now the breast itself.
Okay.
Yes. So when you bring in the baby, and the baby is only on the areola, so the areola does not have very many ducts that actually removes milk. So what happens, the baby has to use a lot of effort to get milk out.
The areola or the
sorry, the nipple, thank you.
Okay.
So the nipple doesn't have many ducts. The ducts, that's why you even see the ducts are around the areola. So if the baby is only on the nipple, and you'll even see the baby really using a lot of effort to get milk out. Now because the nipple area has very soft skin, it tends to crack. So what we want is to make sure that the nipple is deep inside the baby's mouth.
Yes.
So that now the hard part, the palate, where the gums are actually on the areola, where the ducts are. So we want the baby to press there so that the milk can go through the nipple, but we're not trying to get milk at the nipple area.
Yes.
So we have different kinds of nipples. So we have people with nipples like this. We've got, like, for her, it was almost flat. You can see this one? It's almost not out. So if I try and put the baby here, you can imagine the baby is just getting a very little grip of the skin. And so what will happen, the baby's mouth will actually do a lot of damage there, trying to get milk out, because the baby's suckle is very strong. So we want the baby, now in her case, what we did is to make sure that the baby was able to latch much deeper, so that now the nipple is inside the mouth. And the amazing thing, even though she was in pain, once she latched properly, there was no pain, even though it was very cracked. So that's the thing, that's what I'm saying, the remedy to cracking is get the latch right.
Okay.
So what we did, like in her case, because she's here, she's a very good case study, is because now her breast was very full of milk. So imagine the breast is very full.
So
if I try and put the baby here, the baby will just slide and get to the nipple. So what we did first was to express a bit of the milk out, just a bit. So we hand expressed, and when we hand expressed, this place became soft. Now it was easy to get the baby to get in a deeper latch, and that sorted out the painful breastfeeding.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what a latch is, how the baby is able to hold the breast. We have the nipple and we have the areola. So we want the baby to have the nipple to be deep inside the mouth, and as much areola. So for Africans, I know the books say all of the areola, but for Africans we tend to have quite a big areola. So we say as much as the areola inside the baby's mouth, so that breastfeeding is painless. If it is painful, the latch is wrong.
Okay.
So usually very, very simple.
Let me ask then, in this case of the inverted nipple, is it then, what do you call it? We are told a lot about pulling, or pulling the nipple. Is that a scientific thing? Does it have any value?
It is not, what happens, it is not a one-day thing. So you have to get away to help the nipple come out. But that's the thing, it's because you're thinking that the baby needs to latch on the nipple. But the baby does not need to latch on the nipple. The pressure of the baby's mouth will get the nipple out in due time, and I'm sure it did on your case. I also had inverted nipples, but in due time the baby was able to pull them out. So if you have inverted nipples, the first thing you should tell yourself, I need to get the baby, you have to make sure that your breasts are soft enough for the baby to be able to get most of the areola. So when you have inverted nipples, there are usually some little what we call fibers or tendons inside the breast that actually hold the nipple in. So what happens, it takes quite a bit of time for the nipple to actually finally release, so that you're able to see it protruding like the way you would see in this one. So what happens when at the beginning, if you're trying to remove with a syringe, because that's what usually happens, you find that you remove it, and then the minute you remove the syringe, it comes back in, and that tends to be very, very extremely painful for the mother. So the best thing to do is latch on the baby, make sure that the breast is not too full, latch on the baby on the soft part, aim for the whole part instead of just the nipple, and then the baby themselves will pull out the nipple in due time. It takes a while for those tendons to relax and let go of the nipple. Sometimes also you can use a pump. I have a pump here. Yeah. So like in her case, what she would do sometimes when she's very full is if I hope the camera can catch this. So if you can see, yeah, so it's pulling the nipple forward. Yeah. So before feeding the baby, she would just sit and just have the breast pump pull forward like that, and then it will kind of get a bit out, enough for her to latch on the baby, and you need to do that quickly before, because just nature, once if you do that and wait for a whole minute, it will go. So have the baby ready, then you just have the pump, and then you pump like that, and you're able to release a bit of the nipple to come out a bit, enough for the baby to latch on.
Okay, sorry to stick on this point further. This the tradition of encouraging mothers to actually pull out an inverted nipple ahead of the arrival of the baby.
Yeah, so
does it work?
So studies show it does not. That's why we had so many mothers. And then it is actually a risk for premature labor, especially if you start doing it. One of the ways we tell mothers who are about to give birth and the baby is not coming is please stimulate your nipples. So any stimulation on the nipple can actually trigger premature labor. So we don't want your babies being born early, and yet studies show that it doesn't help anyway. The inverted nipples will still be there, even whatever you do. Because as I said, it needs a lot of that pull over time, and that's when they release. Even for us, it was not immediate. It took a while for them. But now once the baby was latching properly, it was not as uncomfortable as before. So getting the latch right is actually the main thing.
It's like a science. Now babies come and they just are not opening their mouth, or how this story of get the areola they're just comfortable with the nipple. How do you
actually, babies know I need to suckle, but so there are two concepts. So we have the latch, so the baby with latch on, but the mother has to attach the baby. So we actually, they go together, latching and attachment. So how I attach my baby will determine if I will have a good latch or not. So that's why we have this Michael with us.
Alright.
So Michael is here. So if I have this baby, let me first hold like this and just show you what happens. So I need the baby and the nipple to be at the same level, so that first of all, the baby can actually have a nice latch. So most of us are usually far above, and then you're bending to go to the baby. So you see, they're not on the same level. So I need baby and breast to be at the same level. The second thing, we need the baby to be brought as close as possible to the breast. Now our Kenyan culture, babies have 5 shoals. So the baby is actually like here, very far, and the shoals are in here, in between. So they are going to dress your baby warmly. Remove the shoes, so that you can get the baby as close as possible. So the first thing, make sure that the baby is at the same level. So and then baby should face their food. So baby same level, meaning sometimes you might even have to take a pillow like this one, and you put it there, right there, and sit back so that you're upright, like me, and then turn the baby. So what happens? The baby is actually now near their food. They are facing their food. That's why we say tummy to tummy, but just have the baby face their food. And then secondly, thirdly, the baby, you know how newborns are? Newborns, their heads are all over the place. So usually when you try and do the traditional way, where we've always seen mothers doing. So we've seen everyone breastfeeds like this, isn't it? Yeah. So but what happens to these ones? The baby is down there. And then you're still a new mom, so you're even afraid of this baby. So the baby is all over the place, they're trying, and then now mom is sweating, baby is frustrated. So the baby keeps trying to catch because they're smelling the milk, so they're being stimulated by the smell, and they knew I need to get there, but how do I get there? So you need to attach the baby, so that means guiding the baby. So one of the things, like for her, what we did with her, because she had a scar that was really painful, was actually change how we were holding the baby. So we held the baby like this, like that. Yeah. So baby is still facing barefoot, isn't it? I'm supporting the baby's back and head using my hand, and then the breast is here. So what would happen is now, because she had inverted nipples, she made sure she had expressed a bit, and then she would press forward the nipple a bit just to protrude it enough. And then the baby, most babies, when you touch the bridge, the bridge of their mouth, or just the top of their whatever, their instinct is to do. So that's what you do. You touch the tip of your baby's lip up, and the baby will do. So when they open, because they tend to open wide, not for those babies you're saying who don't open their mouth. So you touch and they do and when they do that,
so you play around with the area between
you actually just need to touch a bit like this, and they'll do and you quickly put them in, because so that now if you do that, they open, you push them in, so that they start suckling. So this so they start. So you need to get them to open their mouth so that they can get as much breast tissue inside. So when you put that, they'll do and you're able to put them in. So this is one position that works very well for small babies. CS mothers, because the baby is away, just have a pillow. Just put a pillow right there to support the baby further. I'm glad we have pillows here. So or a breastfeeding pillow or whatever pillow. You see, and we sit and we are happy. Another position is the traditional one that you see. That's right here. But then instead of doing like this, because as I said, it's very hard to control the baby's head with your elbow. So you change the way you're holding the baby. So you hold the baby like that. We call it cross cradle. It's like you cross over. So one hand crosses over, and I think she did this a lot. So one hand crosses over like that, and then you bring the baby again to the breast. Then once the baby starts suckling and you're comfortable, you're not feeling pain, so you can now come and continue on. So you attach the baby first, get comfortable, and now, because the moment you start doing with the elbow, it never goes well for most people. So the baby will just land where they land, and you see you're trying. Even for you, if I'm trying to do anything, and I'm trying to, it's very awkward. So trying to put the baby, it's very awkward. So most babies will disappear there, or will circle what they find, which is always the nipple. That's where they start, and then there's a problem. So here you have complete control of the attachment. You're even seeing the baby's mouth, and you're seeing the nipple.
This is a comfortable position, Valerie.
Yes, it is.
It looks very different.
I used to do this and the football.
And so you can rest like this, or you can, once you've latched on the baby properly and you're comfortable, now you can remove your hand and cradle the baby and continue. So the thing is, how you're attaching the baby helps you to get a comfortable latch that is painless. And then let me tell you the amazing thing. When babies latch on the nipple, you find that they struggle to get a lot of milk. So they'll stay there for 1 hour with your cracked nipple, and they still will not be full.
Oh dear.
Because they are getting, it's like taking milk through a straw. So they have, and you even see, if you're seeing your baby doing sucking in, then that's a long rat. That's
a wrong latch.
That's a wrong latch. Yes, our
tongue twister.
So you want to see the baby when a good latch. The baby will be, the cheeks will puff out.
All right.
The mouth will look like for a fish. It will be pouted like for a fish. And then you will hear audible sounds of swallowing, and you will even feel like the baby is trying to keep up with the flow because the milk is a lot. So you find that the baby feeds for much less time. They actually get full. You get relief. If you had a very full breast, you feel it's emptied. And you find your baby adding weight with very wet diapers every day. So that's what you want to look at. Is my baby's cheeks, are they puffing out? If your baby is doing dimpling, then that baby is not latching right. If you even listen to the baby, you will not hear audible sounds of swallowing, because very little milk is actually going in. If you look at your baby's diaper, they're staying very long before passing urine, especially the newborns. So make sure that you're seeing all that to know that you're having a good latch.
Okay.
Yes.
And at what point do you know whether you actually have enough milk? Because what you're saying is this is assuming I have a lot of milk.
Yes.
But there are delays, for example, for
Yeah.
Brenda, where
Yes.
milk actually did delay to come.
Yes.
So how do you know? Because there are mothers who will say, I've been breastfeeding my baby for the last, I don't know, the whole day. The baby is never full. The baby is hungry. How do mothers?
But I've also learned over time that our perceptions are very, the baby is probably just feeding every 2 hours. So we say the baby is feeding the whole day. But yeah, newborns do feed every 2 hours. Their tummies are really, really tiny. But how to know that the baby is having enough milk? As I said, the breast will feel much lighter after a feed. You'll hear audible sounds of swallowing.
Okay.
The best guide is the diapers. Are you seeing urine? Actually, not even stool so much. Of course, we want stool to come.
Yeah.
But more of urine. When you go to pass, change the baby's diaper, you're seeing very good urine output from the baby. Then you'll also see baby will give you some space. 1-2 hours of rest, 3. If a baby is heavier, I'm sure her baby was much smaller, so her baby will probably wake up much more than a heavier baby. Yes, so those are the signs that tell you that I have enough milk.
Okay.
So, and then when you go for clinic, your baby will have added a bit of weight. So all that tells you that you have enough milk.
Okay, and therefore, because today there are very many moms who actually blame little breast milk availability too. They actually buy from formula and say that I didn't get milk. Is there something like I didn't get milk? Are there mothers who do not get?
No, very few actually don't have milk. Very few, like 1% of the population or so cannot have milk, and maybe it's because of one reason or the other. Maumbile, you know, like when they were growing up as teenagers, the breast didn't develop the way they are, or they had a mastectomy, or they had, those are now a different case.
Yes.
But for majority of women, they can actually have enough milk for their baby. But what happens is, number one, long latch. It means that the baby is not
Wrong latch.
Excuse where I come from. Anyway, it means that the baby is not stimulating a lot of milk in the first place. Secondly, it's milk in, milk out. It's supply and demand. You need to put your baby on the breast on demand.
Okay.
Your baby is the one who, there's one who said that the nurse said put the baby on, just keep putting. Yes, because the baby will stimulate the milk to come. This, I always call this the client. Your brain is the factory. The client places an order by breastfeeding, then completes the circuit that makes the brain make milk.
Yes.
So if you're there, you give the baby formula, the baby sleeps for 5 hours, your brain will say, no one has placed an order.
Yeah.
So why are we making milk? So please don't give up. I know it's tiring to feed every 2 hours, but please put the baby. The first 6 weeks are key to establishing a good milk supply.
Okay.
So you want your baby on the breast as often as possible. If you have a lot of milk and you feel that the baby is not finishing, you can express, and like the way you are doing, and storing for the baby to take later, but you don't really need to express. I'm glad you didn't express. You probably now would have had an issue of oversupply. So the fact that you are just putting and collecting what's coming out, that's actually what we recommend. We don't recommend that you start expressing from day one. We recommend you start expressing actually after 6 weeks, when the milk your brain has settled, it has figured out supply.
Alright.
Because now we also have another group of women that we are dealing with that have oversupply. Recently we had to stop a mom from breastfeeding, like stop the milk, because she had already gotten 4 bouts of mastitis because of oversupply, because somebody told her to start pumping from day one. So we have completely missed the benefit.
Wow.
Because now it was affecting her health.
Okay.
So don't you breastfeed your baby. Pick up, sit, breastfeed. Once you've settled down, you've healed a bit, 5-6 weeks, you can start expressing.
Maybe in just briefly, now that you mentioned mastitis, and I think, I don't know, the breast engorgement comes in the same
Yes, it does.
bracket. Can you probably tell us a bit about that?
The milk that is being made by your body the first few weeks especially, your brain is still trying to figure out exactly how much does this baby need.
Yeah.
And so most times it will oversupply the milk. milk. Now, if you don't remove that milk, what usually happens is first the milk fills up, and you actually see the breast becoming really, really engorged and tight because the milk is not coming out. When that happens, then we start getting blocked ducts, because these ducts, it's like a system of pipes or ducts that allow the milk out. Then they block. So when they block, what happens is the tissue around the blocked ducts and the engorgement place starts becoming irritated. And what does the body do when it becomes irritated? Senses like it's an infection, and bacteria will also pull around there, and that's now what becomes mastitis, which is the infection of the breast. So it's usually a ripple effect. If you don't empty, and that's what happens sometimes. Some moms will say, I want to sleep at night, so I'll give the baby formula so that they sleep, so that I also sleep. You're on your way for getting engorgement, because if you don't have the baby removing milk often, then it can be a ripple effect of that. And that's why we're saying don't express too early, so that your breast first you stabilize, and then you will express once you've stabilized and gotten everything going. Yes.
But can that issue come up if you go back to work? Like,
yes, it can, because you've been with your baby,
Yes.
and you're breastfeeding your baby often,
Yeah.
and then you go to work, and then 3, 4, 5 hours go by, you can have that. So you always have to make a plan, and that's why we have the new law that was signed, I think last year, that determines that every place of work with more than 20 employees should have a place where mothers can express milk and remove milk and get away, or give them flexi time where they work several hours, so that they can anyway make provisions for these mothers to be able to remove milk. So you do need to, and if you don't express when you go back to work and you're leaving your baby, the supply and demand, the milk will dry up. So you need to keep it active so that you can have enough milk for your baby for as long as they require it. Yes.
Okay, I think I'll just probably go to Valerie. Happy ending because you went through this. Do you want to probably share with us where you are now after the 1 month horror? Did you recover? Did you heal?
Yes, I did. Actually, after 2 days, I was fine. The nipples just healed.
Wow.
I was able to apply cream that it was the lanolin. I applied the cream. After 2-3 days, breastfeeding became fun, and I was even able to embrace motherhood. And the fact that your baby is looking into your eyes as he breastfeeds, and touching your cheeks and patting your boob, it was really, really amazing. And I would even call and I say, oh, it's amazing. And I would even wake up in the night. I wake him up literally just so that he can breastfeed. So it is actually fun if the baby latches well. Breastfeeding is fun. It is the best thing God created to bond with a baby. So I would even encourage mothers out there, keep breastfeeding. Do it for do it forever. I still breastfeed my son. I'm not looking forward to him stopping, because it's become such a fun experience for me, and it's a way we bond. Because even up to now, he breastfeeds while standing, but he still looks at me.
Sit here.
Yes,
Sit
he actually
here.
tells me where to sit. And he still looks at me when he breastfeeds, literally into my eyes, and it's a bonding experience that I can never exchange for anything.
Wow. I think I wouldn't want to dilute that. So I will quickly go to the questions that I have for our doula. I have a question here from Miriam Kimiri from Imara Daima. She says, I have twin boys, 11 months now. We started weaning at 5 months, but they still fight when feeding despite wide range of food tried. They currently only enjoy milk. That milk is infant formula, vanilla yogurt and fruits only. What do I do to increase their normal feeding portions? Please help.
So babies are interesting. They have likes and dislikes just like you and I. But also what happens is that, number one, I love that they're taking milk, because milk still remains the main food for babies up to at least age 1. Age 1 and still continues on being very important in the life of a child. So kudos that they're taking milk and yogurt.
Good job, Miriam.
So for the other foods, you have to try different things. Self-feeding is one way that babies tend to eat much better. So sometimes, why don't you offer them food? Put it on a plate or on a table,
The mess.
Let them mess up. And in it, as they're self-feeding, because they are finding that, and at 11 months most babies can actually feed themselves. So if you cut up pieces of potato, cut up pieces of carrots, and shred some chicken, you find that your baby will actually eat. They'll eat 2, 3, 4 bites, which is actually how much that they need to eat, and they'll get that. You can vary the meals, feed from your plate. It's just the psychology of it, because you're eating the food, they're like, oh, this is not my food, give it. The other things that I think it's a Kenyan thing, the food that we give our babies, even I don't want to eat it. It's tasteless, it is a weird color, it is just, wrong. So cook the food well. Put onions and garlic and
Spice it.
and dania. Let it be tasty and flavorful, and most babies will eat. So let the baby is a human being just like you and I. So let the food be very, very tasteful, and they might not eat as much, and usually they don't need to eat that much, but you find that they are more open to eating when they think that the food is the same thing that you yourself.
So you're saying that probably you fry with a bit of oil and
onions, and the same way you cook your food,
the same way
is exactly the same way you should. From 6 months, your baby is supposed to join the family meals. So that point is you're introducing your baby to their way of eating. So if you can actually modify the same food you're eating, pick a potato, pick the stew. So you cook your food well, you know, with all the ingredients that are there, because that's now a very nutritionally dense food. It has a lot of nutrition in it. And then mash the food and give the baby. So you do not need to actually cook separate meals. But if you do, then make it the same way you would cook yours. Breast milk is very flavorful. The amniotic fluid is very flavorful because it takes the flavors of the food that you eat. And then you come and give food that is tasteless. The baby is not going to like it. They're going to say, I don't want it. Yes.
Okay.
So they're going to want tasteful food.
Okay.
So that Miriam can try that.
Yes.
And hopefully the babies will
that's
eat it.
That's a challenge.
Yes.
I think I'll just drop you another question I see here. That one you already answered. Yes, here. This one is from Beth from Buruburu. It says, I have a challenge differentiating my baby stool from diarrhea. What should I look out for?
Okay, so I suspect this is a baby that's not yet eating.
Yes.
Because that's when the stool tends to be quite a bit more runny. So for the normal baby's poop is a mustard yellow, almost like the dress I'm wearing. It's almost that color.
All right.
And it will be it will have little white things in it, mostly, and then it will look like stool. When it's diarrhea for babies that age, it looks like water completely. You almost would think it's just like colored brownish water. So that's the difference. If you're able to tell the stool, because the stool you can tell it has it's solid enough, but then if you open the diaper and you can see this is not urine, it's most brownish. It tends to be brownish greenish, and then usually very mucousy if it's diarrhea. So that's the difference.
Okay. And the teething poop as well is also
when they're teething, the poop will be a bit more runny, but it won't be as runny as diarrhea. It's going to be just more fluid, liquid than usual. It's also a bit mucousy, but tends to be more greenish.
All right.
Yes. Then they tend to have very, very regular bowel movements at that time. But the baby will look fine. They will not have any fever or anything. With diarrhea, it will come with other symptoms.
All right.
Yes.
All right. I think the viewers back home must be satisfied with those answers.
I hope so.
Okay, at this point I'd like to thank you, my viewer, for staying with us. I'd like to thank Esther for helping us. It's always very interesting to listen to you. Thank you, Valerie. We're happy. Success stories is what we really look out for. And thank you so much, Brenda. I'd like to thank the guys behind the camera and everyone else who makes this possible. Until we see you again next time, I am your host, Gladwell Kameni, on CTN The Nest.